Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about burster contracts. What are burster contracts? Burster contracts are J. Scott Garibay brand new idea for the publishing industry to fix a massive problem, which is essentially the problem of victimized series readers, right? All right, so let's talk about it. All right, so let me define this issue of victimized series readers. All right, so one, I am a victimized series reader, in my opinion. By the way, this term, victimized series reader, 100% my term, purely my opinion, right? Okay. All right, so I am a victimized series reader of three separate authors. First and foremost is George R. R. Martin. I took the time to read all five of the series of Ice and Fire books, and here I am, 8 years after the publication of the last book, and I don't have a book to read, right? I did my part. I bought, in hardback all of the first 5 books, and now at this point, I don't feel that Martin has done his part, which is write the next book, right? If he had written 1 page a day over the last 8 years, there'd be 2,800 pages for me to read. He hasn't done that, right? The next one is Patrick Rothfuss. I took the time to read the first 2 books of his series, right, which is the Kingkiller Chronicles. It's been over 3 years since I've been waiting for the last book. I think it's coming up on 4 or 5 now, right? And here we are, Kingkiller Chronicles, book 1 and 2 were fantastic. I did my part. I read the books. I even talked the books up to my friends. I paid my money. Where's the next book? I don't have one, right? The next one is Jim Butcher. Jim Butcher writes the Dresden series. Now, he is doing a good job of writing the Dresden series, but I jumped on board his new one, which is the Cinder Spires. It's a series. It only has 1 book in the series, right? But it has right on its cover, Cinder Spires series, right? And that book is The Aeronaut's Windlass. It has, 1 book in the series. Came out in 2015. We're now over 4 years past its publication. And I don't have my next book to read, right? So in my opinion, I am a victimized series reader. There is a social contract. It's not a literal contract. It's a social contract. I go to Barnes & Nobles. I buy your book in hardcover. I read the whole thing. I do an online review, or I talk to my friends about it. I get excited, and then you're supposed to write the next book, right? But increasingly, this is not happening, right? This is absolutely not happening on large series that victimized series readers are fully in on, right? And we're in a solution society. If there's a problem, society comes forward with a solution, right? And so I'm part of society, and I'm coming forward with a solution, and that is called burster contracts, right? Now, frankly, if George R. R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss and Jim Butcher were writing the next book, we wouldn't have to have these. But I think we've reached a point where we really need these burster contracts. So what are burster contracts? All right, a burster contract is a change in the publication industry where the publication industry says, no longer are we going to be a publisher who helps to victimize series readers, right? Our series readers will be satisfied series readers. We're going to ensure that with burster contracts. And so their contract would be to an author, and they would extend this author and say, listen, we need a new fantasy series, or even if we need a new fantasy series, so we will either contract a writer to write that series, or maybe you have 1 or 2 fantasy books in your drawer and you're hoping to sell them to a publisher, right? Well, guess what? Hopeful fantasy writer, we got you covered. We're going to publish your book, right? Or maybe even your 2 books that you've written, right? And in your series, but you're going to sign a burster contract. Now, what's a burster contract? Well, a burster contract is, okay, here's your $5,000 advance on your series book, right? And you're going to get 3% of the profits of every book going forward in perpetuity, right? Or for 25 years, right? And then the rights will revert back to you. Standard traditional contract with a publisher, but here's the burster clause, right? You have 3 years. You're on a clock. In 3 years, you need to deliver to us a manuscript that is 250 pages or more, right? A finished manuscript. Actually, you know what? We don't even have to say finished. You have to deliver to us 250 written pages, right? And we will then take that, and if we look at that 250 pages that you delivered, right? One, if it looks like you did the work to finish it and you didn't just throw 250 pages worth of junk onto our table to fulfill your contract, but you were really passionate about it and you wrote the next book, then we're going to interact with you just like a normal group would, right? We're going to say a normal publishing firm would, right? We'll edit your book and we'll publish your book. Everything will be fine. Nothing will be different than a traditional contract, right? And then you got 3 years to write your next book, right? And you have 3 years to write every single book in your series until you're done. And as long as you write every single book, as long as you write 250 pages and deliver those written pages to us within 3 years, then you will be treated like an old traditional writer, and we will act like an old traditional publisher, right? But if we get to 3 years and 1 day, right, and you haven't given us 250 pages of written material, not even a finished book, just 250 pages of written material, then what we're going to do is we're going to burster you, right? You're going to fall on the ground, and a little alien is going to burst out of your chest and skitter around the room. And you know what that little alien is going to be, right? It's going to be the author that's going to finish your series, right? We will tap a new fantasy author, a new skilled finisher, almost like a relief pitcher, right? And we're going to say, okay, that's it. Your victimized series readers are not going to be victimized. They're going to be series readers. And we have a new writer who's going to finish your series, right? It's a burster contract. Everybody is happy. The publishers are happy, right? The readers are happy. And guess what? Even the writers have a reason to be happy, right? And the reason why is they are going to get they will get 25% of what the burster writer, right? The finishing writer, the relief pitcher writer, 25% of their profits will go, 25% of that writer's of what that writer earns will be given to the original author with no additional royalties, right? Just whatever the well, I guess, yeah, if the burster writer, whatever the burster writer gets, whatever the burster writer is paid in royalties or in flat fee, 25% will go to the original author who started the series, right? But, and then also, once they're done, there can be conversations with the publisher, but the publisher has absolutely, once a burster has burst out of that, first, author's chest, the original author's chest, right, and skittered around the room, beginning writing the new novel in the series, right? Once that happens, the publishers have zero obligation to allow that writer back on that series at any time, right? They've lost control of that series, right? And so I think that's really interesting, and I think it's a really good way to solve this very serious problem. Like I am, if you have nachos and you like salt on your nachos, you can hold this video over that. Because I got salt for Patrick Rothfuss, and I got salt for George R.R. Martin, and I got salt for Jim Butcher. I love all their works, but I don't like that I have become a victimized series reader. I really don't. And I would like publishers to fix this problem by offering these burster contracts, right? And I will tell you right now, I promise, if you're a publisher and you create a burster contract, I will buy in hardcover the first 10 books that you publish under this, all right? And I will go to Barnes & Noble, I will go to Amazon, wherever you direct me to go, and I will buy your hardcovers for the first 10 books. And I promise to prioritize my book purchasers for publishers that use burster contracts over publishers who use victimized series reader contracts, which is what we have now, and it stinks, and I don't like it, right? I want my next book in the series, and I'm not going to get it, right, for Cinder Spires, or for King Killer Chronicles, or for Song of Ice and Fire, and that's my opinion, right? But I'm sick of pretending that those books are coming, because I don't think they are, right? And I just got a lot of salt for this situation, but I think this is a real and actual and very useful solution, right? And I fully understand that there are going to be a lot of, writers who have their own salt toward this idea, saying, you can't take this away from me. And I'm like, yes, we can, because we have a lot more victimized series readers out there than we have victimized writers who are, who've taken 8 years to write their next novel, right? And so, I can also hear you're like, well, Scott, no writers are going to take your contract. And I say, bull crap, right? Like, writers are going to take these burster contracts like crazy. They'll take the initial contract, and they will take the finishing contracts, right? The burst, they'll say, okay, I'm published my first book in this series, and if I don't deliver you 250 pages of finished material, then I will, then a new author will carry this forward. And the reason why is it's, writing novel series is a rock star job, right? And people are going to do whatever it takes to get those positions. And honestly, I think this will be better for everybody, right? And the other thing is, I think these writers don't have to feel that there's a terrible stigma, right? Because they know that their readers are going to be taken care of. And right now, I think there should be a stigma on these authors who have not fulfilled their social contract with their readers, right? And there is a stigma around that, and I think that stigma is fair, So I think this is a really good solution. But I would love to hear your opinion. Do you think I'm right? What's your opinion on burster contracts? Please let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.